Welcome back. In case you're just tuning in, this is Network Africa with me, Cynthia Are. Now, you will recall that during the show yesterday, we told you about the United Nations press release concerning the crisis in Burundi. We have a copy of that press release now and have made some excerpts of the allegations being leveled against troops in the East African country. One of the highlights is that there have been 13 cases of sexual violence by security forces. There's also been a very sharp increase in enforced disappearances. Torture cases tripled in December, and there's now a call for investigation of mass graves, a total of about 9. We also understand from the press release that most of the victims were believed to have been Tutsis, and the above is indicative of an ethnic dimension to the crisis and not just focused on the third-term agenda as being carried out by President Nkurunziza. What the United Nations is calling for is an independent, credible investigation into the above. Well, joining us now from Geneva is the spokesperson for the High Commission, and he is Rupert Colville. He joins us on the program right now. Rupert, thank you very much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you.
Now, the information contained in the press release has actually painted a more graphic picture of the plight which Burundians are going through. Do you care to share more on this and how you came about this information?
Yes, I mean, the situation has been deteriorating over many months now. It was already very tense last spring when I went there with the High Commissioner. There were already reports of violence, particularly by the sort of armed militia called the Imbonerakure. But in December, on the 11th of December, there was an attack by, it seems, by armed opposition groups on 3 military camps, and that seems to have triggered a really major deterioration in a number of ways, and several very disturbing new trends have emerged since then.
Well, Rupert, speaking of disturbing, it's actually utterly disturbing to know that some of the atrocities that are alleged to have been carried out are actually alleged to have been carried out by individuals in law enforcement who should actually be protecting the lives of citizens, like what we saw in the press release was military and the police.
I've lost you in patches there. I hope you can still hear me. But if the question was about the involvement of the authorities, then yes, that is the case. It's particularly alarming new trend, I think, is the sexual violence and rape of women by members of the police or the security services. And this is something that developed in the immediate aftermath of the attacks on the armed camps on the 11th of December, and many witnesses have told us how police or military or other authorities went into houses, separated the women from the rest of the families, and raped them, and in some cases gang raped them. And also, of course, the security forces are the ones who were arresting many young men, many of whom have disappeared and haven't been seen since.
Now, Rupert, since that report was, since this information was released by your organization on Friday, what has happened? What has been the response that you've gotten since you made this information public?
Well, quite a few other organizations and individuals who are working in Burundi contacted us and thanked us actually for making it so clear about how bad the situation has become and how very, very dangerous it is. It's still possible for the authorities to pull back and look for dialogue, but as I said, it seems to be just getting worse, and there's a huge risk, really, of Burundi really falling apart if this continues. The government, there was a statement by the president denying many of the things we said. That's not the first time that the government has disputed the things we said. That we've been very careful and we cross-check our information, and the reports are very alarming. And as I said, there are many other organizations on the ground, both local and international, who very strongly believe, along with us, that these things are occurring, unfortunately.
Now, just before I let you go, Rupert, I'd like to ask, in the event that an independent investigation proves these allegations are true, what kind of consequences are we looking at?
Well, this is, again, one of the major calls of the High Commissioner, because one of the main problems in Burundi is impunity. The authorities, and especially in Imbonerakure, this kind of informal militia that's allied to the authorities, have been committing abuses for many months now. And absolutely nobody seems to get arrested or punished for rape, for killing, for torture, for any of these crimes. So that has to stop. And if you want to stop them committing these crimes and feeding the opposition in this way, then the government has to take action. And they simply don't seem to be doing so. And the will to do so is not at all clear.
Well, Rupert, thank you very much for joining us on Network Africa. We appreciate your time and your input. Thank you very much. Rupert Colville speaking with us from Geneva. He's a spokesperson for the UN High Commission. Still to come on Network Africa. 14 million people face hunger in what is Southern Africa's worst drought since 1904. We have the latest from Johannesburg.